I figured this time I would do the old 2 birds, 1 stone thing and show you a couple of things. That's 2, right? Yeah, a couple of things. 1, did you know that they made the Metal Gear Solid digital graphic novel from IDW? Not really a fan of IDW stuff usually. Image sometimes, IDW, take it or leave it. Into a PSP format that you could play on your PSP. Isn't that neat? I think it's neat. But also, these are kind of obnoxiously expensive. I paid $60 for this. I think it came from Canada, but you can get them in America. Reason I bought it is it's filthy. Tape. So I tend to buy the expensive games. I tend to buy those that are in the worst condition possible. Even if the person that's selling it is selling it for way higher than they probably should, I still have a tendency to buy it at that high amount just because no one else is going to buy this looking like this. Especially PSP. These cases aren't really all that around. You can't, they're not that easy to get. And so every one of them that is filthy, it's another one that is less likely to be floating around. So whenever possible, I try to snag all of the PSP games that I can that are expensive, that are in bad condition. And I let the people that don't like cleaning games as obsessively as I do buy up the nice pretty ones. Some say I'm a saint. Some people say, how did you get in my house and why are you so weird? Who's to say who's right? I do want to show you something. I think I showed this on Twitch once before. The PSP cases are actually designed with a flaw that is detrimental to the UMD themselves. So I will show you. The UMD is held in by these 2 tabs. Tab here and a tab here. These tabs are actually what damages the UMD. So the UMD is 2 pieces of plastic sandwiched together, right? These tabs are the reason why you will get UMDs that'll separate. So I'm going to show you how to take a UMD out of the case and how to put it back in and why the UMD cases are separating. So what you have to do is you have to pull back on one of the 2 tabs. It doesn't have to be both, but you just have to pull back on one pretty far so that you can loosen everything up and let it get out. Now, what'll happen is this will separate, okay? This one's a really good seam overall. But you see this ridge right here? Let's see if I can get the camera to... You see that ridge? That ridge rubs up against this all the time. Every time that you take it out and every time that you take it back in, it rubs up against both of these ridges. And over time, that will wear down. And then that's what splits out and separates the UMD plastic from each other. You can reseal these. You can glue these. So if you have one and it's starting to separate, you can actually thinly glue on the inside. I don't have any, but if I could get one, I'll show you guys how. It's really, really easy to do. You'll basically just epoxy along the plastic edge, let that sit, sand down the excessive epoxy, and you're leaving a little tiny layer that goes all the way across this surface. UMD will work exactly the same. It'll be nice and sealed, and you won't have to worry about case swapping or UMD case swapping as it is. This looks to be in really good condition. Just some fingerprints, some normal stuff. No big deal. The cover art is about as clean as possible. There's a couple of little indentations on it, but nothing terrible. And the manual is also in really good shape. It's just, for whatever reason, this filthy case. Not a big deal. Not too worried about it. I think that is tape, though. Or what? Nope, that... I don't know. Might have been tape. So, first and foremost, let's address... Got Heptane in today. Let's address this sticker. And this might not work, but we will try. Cold Stone Creamery card underneath just to create a little bit of a surface that we can use to scrape. Oh, nice. Yeah, so I put a card behind the price label. That gives me a nice stiff surface to scrape against, which helps with the removal of the sticker. Oh, that's coming up really nicely. Ugh. And this is what's frustrating is that, and realistically, I added to my complaint. I said, well, I don't understand, why do people charge full price for games that are dirty? This is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And then I go out and I pay someone their asking price for the game, which basically justifies them asking a stupid price for it. Not a stupid price. It justifies them asking for a price this was priced the same way that some mint condition ones were. And the fact that I went out and bought it despite its condition is throwing off the market a bit. You see what I'm saying? And I wonder how much of an impact that actually has. That if me going out and saying, I'm going to buy the gross versions and paying full price, if that's continuing to substantiate the belief that you can ask for full price without having to worry about condition. I just wish condition would matter more. I think that's my big thing, is that I just wish that people were more aware of how condition impacts the game. But it doesn't, because some idiot in his basement will pay the same amount for a filthy game. I don't know. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it is one more dirty game off the street. What is going on here? That feels like a sticker. That feels like a sticker, but then again, it also doesn't. There we go. You want to be careful when you use the metal Scotty peelers when you're using it on plastic, because this will absolutely shred the plastic because of how sharp it is. But because it is so sharp, you can also get underneath labels and stuff like this. Once you start to get it up like that, roll your Scotty peeler forward so that you don't put it right back down. A little more Heptane. I'm being very sloppy with my Heptane today too, but that's okay. I should be Q-tipping it on. That's all right though. Okay. But I will actually need a Q-tip to get into this corner. Now here's the thing. Heptane is not a cleaner. You can't clean with Heptane. Like, it's not going to... It'll remove adhesive, but it's not going to clean the surface. So, don't use it as a cleaner and think that that's good enough. Yeah, that's on the inside. But same thing with GooGone. GooGone will clean up adhesives, but it's not a cleaner, if that makes sense. So, you want to have a good mixture of tools in your toolbox of what you do and don't use to clean. It's tempting. A lot of times you'll see me do it where I will just use Heptane just on the surface to remove surface gunk and grime. But that doesn't really do anything in the long run. It gets rid of the adhesive, which is great, but it's not actually sanitizing anything. It's not cleaning anything. I guess in a way it's sanitizing. No, I don't know. We're not going to get into the philosophical ponderings of if Heptane is actually cleaning the surface or not. Because it's not. But it's not. It's not. Front's looking good. On the back, same sticker, reverse and repeat. Heptane, let that soak in for a second. These look like old EBGames stickers, to be perfectly honest. Which, when was this? 2006. Yeah, that could have been an EBGames sticker. Could have very possibly been an EBGames sticker. The little white square ones. Most likely. As always, when I'm scraping, always scrape towards the edge, because then you're able to push any other residue. Look at that. First of all, I mean, great that it came off in one swoop. Second of all, ew. It's always good to go in that direction, the direction of the open edges, just like wiping it away from you. Just so any residue or anything gets onto the card itself. So you can see by doing that, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, the card is covered in just the kind of the residue film and everything. And that's what you want. You don't want to smear it back onto the surface or anything. You put it on the card and then you can clean off the card. Super easy. Clean all this. Clean whatever that is. And as someone pointed out on something, I don't remember what, maybe Twitch, someone pointed out that wiping with these, and I think I've said it before a couple of times, that I have to let it, if I clean, I have to let it sit for 4 minutes and let it air dry to actually clean and disinfect. But then sanitizing is just a quick wipe and the whole thing gets cleaned. It actually says it on the container itself. So if you're ever curious about your particular cleaning wipes and what technically you have to do, there we go. What technically you have to do to get it clean, that's what. Most of the time you have to leave it visibly wet for a while. Who knew? Clean the inside. This one might, it doesn't really warrant it. I was gonna say, this one might require a soak just because the inside of the cover is a little grimy, but potentially not. Let's see what we can do. Maybe on camera. There we go. Wipe the back. And then clean the edge. Then I'm just going over and I'm looking to make sure that I got all the sides that are damp and wet and everything, that all of those are now clean. Looking good. Take the UMD. Be careful with UMDs. You don't want to get anything in that opening. So I clean the front plastic and I clean the back side, making sure that I don't get anything on that opening. Then I come back in and I dry the front. Nice and clean. Yeah, you don't want to mess too much. You can, and I'll do an in-depth PSP, you can clean off the actual disc itself. We don't really have to worry about that right now. I still have to test this to make sure that it works. Inside should be dry. Of course, there's already cat hair in there. Of course. Same thing, when you're putting it back in, as you push down, you can feel when it gets stuck on that little lip. So realistically, you want to pull back. It's a whole lot easier when you don't have gloves on. Realistically, you want to pull back on the tab itself and make sure that you're not rubbing up against the tab. It also makes a lot more sense when you're looking at a UMD. It'll make a lot more sense. You'll go, oh, this is what it means. Because I can only kind of show so much on here. This was actually the last Metal Gear Solid PSP game that I needed. So that is all of them. Acids, portable walker, or piece walker, portable ops, everything else. There you go. Nice little quick short one. We got lucky with the stickers. They cleaned up really nicely. What is that? Just a little something in there. We got really lucky with the stickers. Usually if the sticker if it's just the residue underneath it and it looks like someone has peeled it off, usually that residue will come off pretty easily. I used Heptane. GooGone would work the same in that instance, where you would just apply a little bit, let it sit in there, let it soak, let it do its job. Scrape, remember to scrape away from the rest of the material. So as you're scraping, just got to clean it off just in case. As you're scraping, you want to scrape away, and you want to scrape to the closest edge whenever possible so that you don't spread any more of the residue anywhere on the surface. This was actually a fairly easy one. Good to see. Yeah, and you can pull off the whole sticker like that. Gross. So, every single PSP game, they're going up in price. Every single PSP game that I can get my hands on, I will try to, so that I can clean them up, because these cases are just not around as often as you would hope they would be. They're just not. So that's it for this one. I don't have any more PSP games to clean, but I'm always on the lookout for more PSPs, and I am always on the lookout for separated UMDs so I can show you guys that epoxy technique. Super easy stuff. As always, my goal is to document all cleaning techniques, methods, and tools that I know of and that the internet knows of, so that I can document them and put them online for people to use. So this was a PSP cleaning with Heptane. You know I'll do one with GooGone, and of course I'll do one with IPA as well. A couple different cleaners. Got to get my hands on some Undo, but I have to import the good ones, which will be interesting. But anyway, what PSP games do you guys like? What are some popular ones? Now that the store is sometimes shutting down and then sometimes it's not, the PSP store, and sometimes Sony's going to shut it down and sometimes they won't. The big conversation right now on the internet is what PSP games people should pick up before they are put in the Sony vault, never to be played again. I don't really have a big list, but there are a lot of lists floating around. Now's the perfect time to snatch some of these up if you're wanting to play them, because they're just going to go up in price, unfortunately. That sounds like such a shameless shill on my part, but that is the truth, and that's how video game selling goes. It is now more than ever important that people that have a collection start to learn the skills of how to clean up their games so that in the future they can get out as much money as possible if they decide to resell them, and also just to maintain the life and value and condition of the games for years to come. So, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe. I am trying to get more and more videos out all the time, just documenting and collecting all cleaning methods that I know of. Thank you, as always, for watching. And I'm going to keep cleaning. All right? See you guys.